The Semmelweis reflex. The human tendency to reject new evidence or new knowledge because it contradicts established norms, beliefs, or paradigms. Happened to Galileo, happened to Einstein, happens to any innovator. When somebody comes up with a new idea, 90% of the time, most people are not going to sit back and say, okay, let me hear you out, and, think about it. They're not going to be curious about it and then critically evaluate it in an objective way. They're just going to have an emotional response to it, which is, if they have a strong emotional attachment to something, say their practices of psychiatry, their current ways of practicing it, and you challenge it, you don't challenge it per se, that if you simply request an alternative method of treatment that they are not aware of, which they should be aware of, they're going to have a very negative reaction, and they're going to be driven and derided by their negative emotions. Now, I don't know what's going on at UMDNJ, but apparently they are not aware of the fact that the Alpha-Stim is FDA approved. I was told by a faculty member who's also a practicing psychiatrist that the Alpha-Stim was an experimental device. And then he asked me, have you ever heard of the Tuskegee experiment? The experiment in which, and I was like, of course I've heard of the Tuskegee experiment. I'm not an idiot. And I said, are you trying to say that an FDA-approved device that's been on the market for 30 years, with 0 adverse side effects, 8 million treatments, widely used by the U.S. military, that using this device is analogous to the Tuskegee experiment? And he said that he had contacted the higher ups at UMDNJ, and he looked at Green's psychiatry journal, and it was, and yes, it's an experimental device, it's not FDA approved. So I emailed him. Okay, I just got off the phone with the FDA, and they assured me that it is in fact FDA approved. It is not an experimental device. And I also have FDA documents showing that it is FDA approved for insomnia, anxiety, and depression, and that there are no known adverse side effects. Well, there are known adverse side effects like dizziness and headaches and things like that. No known adverse, like serious side effects. And of course, he doesn't respond to me. But I stopped by Cape Counseling to fill out some paperwork, and I see him, and I asked him if he read my email. He said, no, I don't read email. And I was taken aback. I was like, you don't read email? It's like, no, not from patients. That would violate HIPAA laws. Oh, I wasn't aware that it would be a violation of the HIPAA law for you to reply to an email. I didn't say it, but I held my tongue. And he said to me that I will no longer discuss this. He was very cursed with me, very cross with me. And he said, if you do not like the treatment you're being provided here, you can go to another psychiatrist. I am done talking about this. I don't want to hear about it again. I don't want you emailing me again. I am done. Okay? And I said, okay, well, I want to continue to see Keisha, who is my nurse practitioner, who I see on a daily basis. Selinsky decides my diagnosis and what drugs I'm prescribed. He's perfectly okay with giving me Adderall and Trazodone. And he's perfectly fine prescribing all sorts of other dangerous psychiatric medications. But God forbid he researched the most widely researched therapeutic device in the world that has been proven to be in many cases even more effective than SSRIs, benzodiazepines, and your standard sleeping medications like Ambien. This is a result of Semmelweis reflux. But Dr. Najafi, who I went to, I talked to him about it. I brought him the documents and I explained it to him, and I said he's a young guy, and I showed up in my scrubs. Good thing to do, show that, I work at the hospital. He brings up, oh, you work at the hospital? I'm like, yes, I work at Cape Regional Medical Center. I'm the operating room transporter. He's like, oh. And he asked me what I plan to do. I said I want to get into healthcare administration. And we had a little discussion about that. And then I switched my prescriptions over to Express Scripts delivery to save money. And then I told him about the Alpha-Stim. And he was not aware of it, as most medical doctors are not. But I ran him through it, and I said, you can call the FDA and ask them about it. You can do the research. I'm sure you have access to medical research databases. You can look at the double-blind placebo studies, the mechanistic studies. And he just said, oh, it's very interesting. Why didn't I hear about this? And I said, well, you don't have very high profit margins. It comes down to advertisement and marketing and donations to medical schools and such. So he said, well, okay, I'll certainly look into it. So I'm going to make another appointment. I need to make another appointment with him, follow up on him, and ask him if he did the research. And hopefully he did the research and is willing to prescribe it to me. I gave him a paper with all the endorsements from hundreds of doctors and different psychiatrists, MDs, doctors of all sorts of. There's medical doctors and there's psychiatrists and there's all sorts of doctors in the healthcare, but not all. Like a podiatrist is not an MD. Orthopedic doctor is an MD. It's difficult to explain. A psychiatrist is a psychiatrist an MD. I've just begun to study healthcare in depth. I've studied nutrition and the treatments to my own, issues, insomnia, anxiety, depression, in depth. But let's see, I haven't looked into becoming a doctor because I don't want to become a doctor. There's a limit to how much influence I can have in the world. I want to run hospitals, improve them. I want to study the best hospitals in the world and the best schools in the world. I've already studied the best teachers in the world and study what made them the best. I also want to study the biggest mistakes in healthcare, the biggest mistakes that hospitals have made, doctors have made, the biggest mistakes that schools have made, and learn from those mistakes. So I don't have to learn from my own mistakes. I can learn from other people's mistakes. You have to look at people who are super successful and people that were at the top and then fell to the bottom, so you don't make the same mistake. Or people that were rising stars, but they got stuck somewhere along the way because of some obstacle, which can be avoided with proper knowledge, because knowledge is power. But anyway, let's see. Is a psychiatrist an MD or psychiatrist? They need psychiatrist. School, medical school is different from psychiatry school. He's a physician, but he's not an MD. What do you receive? Psychiatrist, doctor of medicine. Oh, so he's a doctor of medicine. So he's an MD, medicine, psychiatry, doctor of medicine. But a podiatrist is not a doctor of medicine. Okay. And other examples too. I'm just starting to research healthcare. There are hundreds, but there are several different subject areas which I've studied in great depth and read 10, 20 books at a time. Education, I've read over 20 books on education, taking notes. I have a binder this big about education. I can go off about education for an hour. Healthcare, I'm just starting to do research. I'm just starting to read books about it. And over the summer, I'll read at least 20 books and write up notes and write research papers and logically evaluate different books and synthesize, fact check them and cross-analyze them with other books and see what, see what makes sense and what doesn't, and try to analyze what the most successful models in healthcare are, the most successful hospitals are, and what their models are in every different department. In the IT department, the IT, finance, accounting, operational, executive, the management hierarchy, the philosophy of the hospital, the way they motivate employees, the way they compensate their employees, their relations with the unions. It's a multifaceted issue. It's a complex issue, and these type of subjects I wish to study in depth and look at every different angle from possible. I like to talk to people from every different department in healthcare, from every different, I like to talk to people who are in commercial insurance and health insurance. I like to talk to people who are in the medical device industry, and I like to get an interview, once I have a podcast, with the president of EPI, the manufacturer of the Alpha-Stim, and with other manufacturers of the CS devices. Now, what I plan to do is become a kind of muckraking journalist as a hobby, because I enjoy winning. I'm a very competitive person, and when I win against corruption, when I win against, when I am victorious in showing someone's corruption and holding them accountable, that puts a smile on my face. I like that. I really do. I'm driven by it. And I'd rather win people over the nice way. But, if people are obviously corrupt, I will film them in public and ask them, hey, why don't you prescribe the Alpha-Stim? Why aren't you prescribing a medication that has no known adverse side effects? Why are you prescribing medications that are killing millions of people? Why are you prescribing alternatives that are more dangerous, that are killing people, that are addictive, that are sending people into rehab, that are ruining people's lives? Why are you ruining people's lives by ignoring the evidence fact that shows that the Alpha-Stim is superior to the medications that you're prescribing? If they don't want to sit down and talk to me and have a real conversation with me in a civilized way, which is my preferred method, my number one, my go-to, have a civilized discussion, talk about it, have a back and forth, discuss it. But if you don't want to do that, if you say the debate is over, the debate's not over. This is a democracy. And in public, I can film you. And if you're corrupt, if you're a corrupt professor, if you're a corrupt doctor, if you're a corrupt psychiatrist, if you're corrupt anything, I'm going to hold you accountable. And I'm not going to play nice. If you don't want to have a discussion, then we're going to have a debate. If you're afraid to debate me because you know I'm right and you're wrong, because you're corrupt and you've accepted your corruption, and that you don't care about human life, that you place, and I'm a libertarian. I believe that rational self-interest can be controlled through market forces. I know it's a paradox. Most people won't be able to understand it. But I despise corruption. And I believe I can fight corruption in a free market manner through freedom of the press, through having a popular podcast, having a popular YouTube channel, through creating a successful news website independently, by becoming successful in healthcare, and then starting a series of schools in which I create people who know how to think, who develop higher thinking skills through the student researcher model. You can try to defeat me, you can try to stand in my way, but I know I'm going to win, because I have the knowledge And I have the drive, and I have the motivation. And I have my father's stubbornness, and my father's level of competition. My father's not a perfect person, by any stretch. But I've taken his positive characteristics, and I accept him not fully as a human being, but we all have flaws, so do I. And I work on them. I try to become aware of them, and I ask people about them. In what ways do you see me flawed? And I like to hear them out. What do you think my weaknesses are? I am actually very critical. I'm very aware of my shortcomings in terms of prioritization and task managing and social interactions, social skills. I'm a lot better than I used to be, but I'm still not at the ability where I can have the verbal communication skills that are at the level I want. I want to communicate with anyone, regardless of their educational background, regardless of the cultural background, regardless of their race, regardless of their nationality. I want to be able to communicate with them in an effective way and have real meaningful discussions. I want strong written communication skills. I want to be able to write for any audience. I want to be able to write persuasively. I want to serve brush fires in the minds of men. I want to support virtue and logic and a more free society through my work. And I want to win against bullshit. And that's what it is. It's bullshit. Good is going to win out in the end. Because at the end of the day, there's more good in people than bad. We're just at a very how do I say precarious, a very strange, I don't know the word. I'll think of it later. But we're at a certain stage. But we'll get past this stage. And we'll enter an age of wisdom. And I thoroughly believe that by changing education from this current strict lecture and this strict upload model into a model based on the studies of the best teachers in recent history, what they've been able to accomplish, and understanding of how to develop higher order thinking skills, how to create students who love to learn, who are driven to go out and discover knowledge and to evaluate it and to synthesize information from various different sources and to become better speakers, better writers, better able to communicate with people from all different backgrounds, people who are able to make a difference, who have the ability to make the world a better place and continue to improve every area of their lives and every area of the world around them, everything in their circle of influence. That is possible, and that is my purpose here in life, is to improve the world around me, to make a huge impact, to change up the educational system, change up the healthcare system, and ultimately the political system, so that we can have an age of wisdom, an age of virtue, an age of reason and logic, where people aren't driven and derided by cognitive biases like groupthink and the confirmation bias and the Semmelweis reflex and prejudice, the prejudice bias, the racist bias, the in-group bias, where you believe that people that are in your group are better than people that are outside your group, And that group bias, where people who you identify as outsiders are simply not as valuable human beings as you are. This is the type of thinking that I wish to combat. This is the type of thinking that is leading to the deterioration not only of the United States, but of the entire world. It is the source of all evil in this world. Ignorance is the source of all evil in this world. This is not my idea. It's Socrates' idea. With wisdom comes benevolence. For if a man is wise, he understands that benevolence is the path to true happiness. That being benevolent, being a positive force in the world, is the key to true fulfillment. And that corruption is only self-destruction. That's my rant. I'm going to go back to studying microeconomics. And I'm going to get these tests done. And I'm going to do my homework over the weekends. But I'm also going to spend an hour doing a podcast with Mike Long. Another friend might be joining me as well. But we're going to get this podcast started, improve the audio quality, so I can have a discussion with 2, 3, 4 different people, and have a Joe Rogan experience type podcast. But also, when I interview the PhDs and the professors and everyone, and discuss all the different issues that I'm researching. Specifically, right now, teaching methodologies and various different, and healthcare management. Those are the 2 ones that I'm studying right now, to be very specific. I want to record it in a high quality audio, and I'm arranging all that to be after spring break, so I'll have that all figured out. And I'm interviewing a PhD in psychology. I'm interviewing Professor McCaffrey, and I'm interviewing who is an amazing professor, and she's got a lot to say on the subject. And also Dr. Wyand, and but that'll be about healthcare. But if possible, if I can find, I don't want to be bothersome, you know, but I would also like to build greater rapport with, because I've been very introverted over the years, but I'm growing more extroverted as time goes on. I'm coming out of my shell. Build good rapport with them so I can say, what do you think about this, my ideas regarding the didactic model versus constructive model? I mean, obviously, I use those terms. So I explain to them my thesis and ask them what they think. And I've already done this with Kresnik. And he's said, that he said either I'm going to become a famous millionaire, or I'm going to burn myself out in 2 years. After discussing my paper and my ideas regarding education, and he said I should get into education, and that I have some pretty solid ideas, and he's very impressed. And maybe in the future, I could sit down and be like, after I have all these interviews with PhDs and professors and such on the topic, I'd be like, wow, since I would like to have you on my podcast, for 10 minutes to discuss this, some free time. Dr. Wyand's already said that, so I can build good rapport with him. Start off with healthcare, because I really need to jumpstart my career in there, and then perhaps ask Dr. Wyand about what his thoughts on education, but also Kresnik. After I become more established, after I have not just podcasts with lots of followers, I get the SEO, the search engine optimization, peaked out where it should be. Then I'll have people will be more willing to come on the show, because it'll be established. I'll have a following. I'll have proven myself. And I know that the content I'm going to create is going to be spectacular. Debating PhDs, on the subjects in which they are supposed to be experts in, and through my self-education, winning debates and proposing new ideas to PhDs and having civilized discussions with them, and having them say that I have spectacular ideas and that I'm going to go far, and that, yeah, and networking in that way, and having PhDs on the podcasts and on the YouTube channels. I mean, YouTube, just like Joe Rogan will have the video, but will also have the audio version. And I think that podcast is going to be huge, especially once I start, doing the SEO and I start promoting it on campuses. Going around doing man on the street interviews, using posters, so on and so forth, talking to different students, having a card, having a professional looking website, having a Facebook page, Twitter, all that. And I mean, not all that. Do time management. I can't be all over the place. Maybe I'll find partners like Mike Long who can work alongside me once I transfer to a four-year university, who can help me work on these types of projects and come on the podcast on a regular basis. Who are willing to, who are interested in doing similar things. Education majors who, I teach them. I don't teach them, but I talk to them about. I discuss my ideas about education and healthcare. People in business. I discuss my ideas about business and about healthcare. And healthcare administration majors discuss my ideas about healthcare. If even for 5 minutes, I get in my car and say, "Come on the podcast," whatever. Or just have a discussion with a professor, get in my car and say, check out the podcast, check out the website, and word of mouth will build. Because I'm a very social person. Not just talk to anybody. I'm willing to talk to anyone. And through word of mouth, it will grow exponentially. The popularity, just like the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. And I'll find my audience among college students primarily, but also fans of the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, and other markets as well. But primary target audience is young people who have iPods and or people who just commute to work and want to hear something interesting, and even just parents who know the education model is broken. I shouldn't just restrict myself. People I'm going to be reaching out to most, because obviously I'm going to be in college, is college students. Because anytime I meet them, they say, and even not even college students, people of all different ages say, I have some really awesome ideas. At first they are critical, and then they challenge me, and then I give my counter arguments, and we talk it out, and they say, Ben, you're going to go far. Very, very driven, and so on and so forth. So, I am very optimistic about the future, and I'm not going to let this corruption bring me down. I'm going to overcome it, and I'm not going to let people get away with it, because I still have freedom of the press. Zelensky. Still do. And guys, the UMDNJ, if you are going to ignore me, I'm going to visit UMDNJ, and I'm going to, in public, with a video camera, and a microphone, go up to him and say, hey, why don't you talk about the Alpha-Stim more? Why don't you talk about the treatment that you're not getting by a company that's not bribing you, but who has a device that has zero reported serious adverse side effects, or a device that isn't killing people, that treats insomnia, anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder. Why aren't you talking about this more? Why don't you teach your medical students about this? I'll tell you medical students and say, why do you think they're studying this? I have medical school students, on the podcast as well. Future medical school students, and have them on the podcast and talk about these sort of things. Talk about the nature of medicine, because I'm a healthcare administration major. I'll say, well, I'm a healthcare administration major. Start talking about these subjects. I'm like, you should come on the podcast. We'll talk about these things. Well, we'll both have laptops in front of us. We'll do a Joe Rogan style. We'll have like a free-flowing conversation. And we can also, I'll mix it up. It's not going to be just academic stuff. It's also going to be like entertainment stuff. There's also going to be stuff that's just fascinating stuff. Like I know a guy who was a career criminal for most of his life, selling drugs in over 5 different countries, and the guy is completely out there. The guy should be dead. And the things he does every day, I have no idea how he survives living the way he does. But he is a great storyteller, and it's all true. And we're going to do the chronicles of his life. And he said, I always want to do my memoirs. Call it Peaks and Valleys, Memoirs of a Madman. These stories are some of the craziest stories you've ever heard. They're at a Joey Diaz level. He's like Joey Diaz. He is my Joey Diaz. This guy's hilarious, and he can tell you. But that's in the future. That'll make for an awesome podcast. But that's all for this podcast. For this podcast with background music. It's not gonna make for a great podcast or a great video. Let's see if we're able to just turn that out like I did and just start noticing it. But I'm gonna get back to my economics homework. Also, I gotta take a shower. Will I be able to do any homework? I don't know. I got all weekend to do it though. So, just gotta do my economics tests. I don't really have to do much statistics homework. But I'll get ahead on that. And study for my chemistry test and all that. And things are finally looking up. And yeah, I'm gonna get the Alpha-Stim. I'm gonna get that Alpha-Stim, and I'm gonna get off the Trazodone. I mean, if it works, or at least reduce my dose of Trazodone, because my mind always filled with thoughts, always filled with ideas. It will not shut down, right? So I need something to help me calm me down. Trazodone is not addictive, but still is a prescription drug and still has adverse side effects. You can still overdose on it. It can still kill you. It can cause a lot of issues. It can cause organ damage. It's like, I don't know what the equivalent of is. Maybe it's equivalent of drinking 5 beers a day, 10 beers a day. Who fucking knows? Not in terms of calories, but the damage to your liver or whatever organ. I haven't really researched this. I'm talking out my rear end, but with any prescription medication, I can look up Trazodone. What are the serious adverse side effects of Trazodone? Serious adverse side effects. FDA. Side effects reported to. Let's just tell him, give me a lift. Fucking Christ, dude. Can I get, like, some good information? Access data from the FDA. Alright, good. I'm gonna have to look through all this. Adverse reactions. Less than 5%. Most common adverse incidents, less than 5%, are sedation, dizziness, constipation, vision blurred, drug interactions, use of warnings and precautions. Blah, blah, blah. Clinical worsening / suicide risk. Monitor for clinical worsening and suicidal thinking and behavior. Serotonin syndrome or neuroleptic malignant syndrome-like reactions have been reported with antidepressants. Discontinue electro-initiates, alleviate mania, screen for bipolar disorder, use in patients with heart diseases, blah 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 blah. Electro, is that what was that brand name for trazodone? What's Electro? Electro. What is that, the brand name for trazodone? Electro. What the heck? I look up trazodone, I get Electro. Is that? Oh, it's trazodone. Hydrochloride. I'm getting it. Sorry, people, you can look this up yourself. Of course I can't. Oh, my search function sucks. Side effects. Electro can cause serious side effects or death. Serious side effects include symptoms of serotonin syndrome. It can cause serotonin syndrome. Symptoms of serotonin syndrome include agitation, hallucinations, problem with coordination, fast heartbeat, tight muscles, trouble walking, nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. It can cause mania, irregular or fast heartbeat or faint, low blood pressure, unusual bruising or bleeding, erection lasting for more than 6 hours, low sodium in your blood. Symptoms of hyponatremia include headache, feeling weak, feeling confused, trouble concentrating, memory problems, and feeling unsteady when you walk. Also gives you, a hangover. I wonder if that's why I have a hangover in the morning. It's because of the low sodium level. Maybe just because it lower your heartbeat. It's a depressant. I mean, like, it's not a depressant, like, just an antidepressant. The stimulants and the depressants. Trazodone is not really an antidepressant, it's a depressant. Technically, because it's a serotonin antagonist reuptake inhibitor, it's classified as an antidepressant, but it doesn't actually, improve your mood like an SSRI. All it does is makes you feel really tired and wake up with a hangover. So it's basically beer without getting drunk, without the dopamine release or the serotonin release or any positive neurochemicals. So it's not addictive at all. I mean, I guess it's possible to be addicted to it, but psychologically addicted, I guess. It's not addictive. That's what's nice about it, but again, it can kill you. How many people have died? Deaths due to trazodone. Deaths due to trazodone. Blah blah blah. That's an authoritative source. Give me PubMed. The details of 88 cases involving trazodone overdose, either alone or in combination with other drugs, have been forwarded to the manufacturer. Blah blah blah. Overdose resulted in 16 deaths. These of 206 reported overdose exposures to trazodone, shows no deaths reported. For example, blah blah. Resulted in 16 deaths. Blah blah. One overdose turns out to have limited access to nevertheless remission medical history of seizures, suffer from cardiovascular respiratory diseases. You can't. So you overdose of trazodone, it can't kill you. From PubMed, investigation of a fatality due to trazodone poisoning. Case report and literature review. I don't know how many deaths are contributed to, because that was a microcity of 88 people, and there's more than 88 people overdose of trazodone. It's widely prescribed. It's not hard to do. You just take a gram of it, and you overdose on it. And it can lower your heart rate to the point that it stops, I would imagine. Electro. Number of Electro.com. Well, this is the manufacturer website. Electro can cause some serious side effects or death. Okay, how many? Now I gotta call the FDA and ask them how many deaths are attributed to trazodone. Number of deaths. Number. It has to have the word number in there. Let me do advanced search. Why don't you give it to me? Why don't you give me information? Search tools. Where's advanced search? Jesus fucking Christ. Advanced search. Acute liver failure and death from trazodone. They're rare. And then trazodone abuse, blah blah blah. Let's see. Liver test abnormalities. Causes liver injury. Yeah, it takes a toll on your liver apparently. I have to do real research into this. I don't know. The fact is that there are deaths. It says it can cause deaths. So I don't know how many deaths trazodone is attributed to, how many people have overdosed on it. Because it's not addictive, I'm sure it's not. Oh, I wonder how much liver damage it causes. What other side effects can be attributed to trazodone? I mean, anytime you're fucking with the amount of serotonin, the serotonin functioning within your brain, you're gonna have some serious side effects, I would imagine. So there are cases of people dying of liver damage because they took too much trazodone, and it can cause death. I'm gonna call the FDA and ask how many deaths are attributed to trazodone in total, which I would do if I'm paying people. Which I would do if I was doing like a research paper on Alpha-Stim and comparing it to arguing all the different ways that it is better. I'll probably do it in an APA format. All the ways it's superior to pharmaceutical drugs. Not for every patient, obviously. The Alpha-Stim is not going to work for every patient. Or I'd imagine wouldn't. Or in many cases, you need both. You need both the antidepressant and the Alpha-Stim, or you need both the benzodiazepine and the Alpha-Stim, or you need both the sleeping medication and the Alpha-Stim, and they'll improve. They'll be synergistic, and they'll help treat the disorder in an even more effective way. I really should get in the shower and go home and do economics homework. And again, I have to discipline myself. Because when I have ideas flowing in my mind, I want to get them out there. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this to YouTube, get in the shower, study for 2 or 3 hours, and then take that test on economics, and then I'll go home. And then Saturday, finish the next economics test, study, get all my stats homework done, then study for chemistry, then Sunday, all day Sunday, study for the chemistry test, that's on Thursday, all day Monday and Tuesday, safely chemistry test. I'll get my life investment portfolio, my weekly planner, organized tomorrow too. First thing on my list. First thing I do on a Saturday is I get my life investment portfolio together. But I don't use it enough. I really don't keep, to prioritize enough. I really need to use it on a regular basis and use it more. I need to use my LIP more. I use my weekly planner more. I need to better prioritize my time. Because I need to get ahead of my schoolwork. It wouldn't be such an issue if I was ahead on my schoolwork. But I need to get ahead on everything. I need to get ahead in chemistry. I need to get ahead in statistics. I need to get ahead in English. I need to get ahead in microeconomics. Physics, stats, economics, chemistry, English. I need to get ahead in all these things. And I tried, but then I got things scared. But in the future, before I transfer, I'm going to get the syllabi for all the courses I'm registered for and then study for them during the summer. Leisure time during the summer, it's going to be limited to 1 or 2 days a week, if that much. I mean, leisure time? Dude, I love having podcasts. That is good leisure time for me. Sitting down and having a free-flowing conversation. Dude, I love that. Like that, an interesting conversation, a meaningful conversation. And of course, girls and all that. I'll find time for that. But I'm plenty of time for that in real college. Like, I have a larger selection of women to choose from when I get into Temple or St. Joe's, and dating around here is just like this. It's you have a lower, not as many girls, and it's more difficult to find, a girlfriend, and it's just a lot more effort to have fun and go out with girls just to be friends with them. So it's not really worth it. So it is worth it in some instances. Like, obviously, I'm an animal. I gotta satisfy my needs once in a while, but so passionate about other things. I still talk to girls and I still do all these things, but a lot of times girls text me, call me on the weekend, and I'm like, can't, I'm studying chemistry. It's so bad. And they're really gorgeous too, but I can't. Yeah. It's just all about balance, though. Gotta balance again. Balance everything. Yeah. See Sarah. I love her. I'm not in love with her. I love her as a friend. She'll always be a good friend of mine for the rest of my life. No matter what happens, I can talk to her for hours. Why do I do this? Alright, I'm done. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I'm glad I can upload videos that are up to an hour long to YouTube. It would be a real pain to break all this up into 10 pieces. So.